I'm talking about the book, Polar Express. So, you know what? A little bit of backstory. One of the reasons that the Polar Express is in my list of books to do analysis with food is because when my children were in elementary school, their librarian, Miss Tyler, I got happy because I really enjoyed working with Miss Tyler. I would volunteer, and doing the Polar Express was one of my very favorite things to volunteer for. And she had tickets, and they would come in their jammies. It was just the first graders. They would come in their jammies, and they could bring a snuggly, which is a stuffed animal. We called them stuffed animals when I was a kid. They could bring a snuggly, and they would sit. And the library was dark. They handed their ticket in. The library was dark. And the principal, Dr. Nickel, or Dr. Nichols, don't remember if it had, anyway, she would sit in a rocking chair with a lamp and read to them the Polar Express. Loved it. And then while she was doing that, we would fix hot cocoa. And then the little first graders in their little jammies and their little huggies would come and drink hot cocoa. So while I was doing that, there were some kids who would say, I've never had hot cocoa before, which was a little surprising to me, which shows how, like, my own prejudices. I just assume if I've had hot cocoa, everybody's had hot cocoa, which is wrong. Not everybody. So that was, and they, loved, and they had the good time, and then they went back to their class. So I started thinking, well, not everybody knows about hot cocoa. And then I found out not only does not everybody know about hot cocoa, I didn't know about hot chocolate. And I learned about that they're the two different things. And so that made it, like, put another layer to the book. And then looking at, and we're going to talk about it because I'm realizing I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, the way Chris Van Allsburg in his book describes the chocolate drink is he uses two things. So thinking back, if you watched the introductory video where I talked about story, analysis, and food, we're going to use those three things. So the Polar Express is a story. It is shared. Just like I described my kids when they were in first grade, the principal read this story to all the first graders. So it was shared. Chris Van Allsburg wrote it. Dr. Nickel read it. And the kids listen to it. So a lot of sharing going on. So it's a shared account of characters, and it has several characters, but the main character is the little boy who gets into the train. Oh, and events happen, and sometimes the events that happen in the story are caused by the character, and sometimes they happen around the character, and the character has to react or navigate those events, and sometimes it's a little of both. So we could talk about the story of, and I'm not going to go all the way to the end, I'm pretty much stopping at the beginning, but if we think about the Polar Express, there's a train that stops at the little boy's house, so that's an event that the boy did not cause. He did not drive the train and stop it at his house, but he can react to that event, and he does. He goes outside and looks at it, and then the conductor says, come on in, and he does. So these are the events. So we have the little boy in the train. We've established a story. Oh, analysis. Let's do food and come back. So the food we're going to be talking about is hot cocoa, because when the little boy gets in the train, he gets into the car, he sees other kids that are like having a party, they're eating candy, and he describes this candy. We're not going to worry about the candy right now, but we could talk about the candy if we wanted to, but we're going to go to what they're drinking, what's served to them to drink, and that is hot cocoa. And I'm going to quote the book. And then here's a good part. I've got some hot chocolate. So I have two things. And you can't see it. They're going to be mugs. They're going to look like mugs to you. A mug of hot cocoa. And I made this by heating some milk and pouring a packet cocoa powder in it and mixing it up. And it smells good. It's yummy. And then I have a cup of hot chocolate, and it's sad that but still. So here's will it spill before? Okay, I don't want to spill it. Hot chocolate, and it is made with, okay, I'm just going to show the back of the bar. Actually melted chocolate bar, and also some cocoa powder. Now the hot cocoa was a blend, and I didn't bring the packet with me, so it already had sugar, but I had to add sugar to the hot chocolate. And I'm going to do my favorite, which is add whipped cream. I love whipped cream. My God. Sometimes the purpose of the drink is to hold the whipped cream. Now I don't, I don't sweeten my whipped cream because it's too much, but okay, I'm gonna pick it up with my finger. You know what? I'm gonna use this spoon because I don't need it anymore. Okay. It has coated, the chocolate has coated the whipped cream. I'm not trying to make you jealous. I'm just trying to, come on, little camera. Quit focusing on my face. I'm trying to show you how thick that is. And then, okay, it's just sad by comparison. By comparison, it just kind of the hot cocoa sits in the wells, but not like the dimples of the whipped cream, but it doesn't coat it. So, another thing besides, this is what I use, hot cocoa is what I would usually have as a hot drink with chocolate flavor. It's also easy to make because it comes in packets, and I just have to heat milk and put it in there. I could also heat water and put it in, so even easier. Hot chocolate requires breaking up chocolate, having a chocolate bar, breaking up chocolate, having cocoa, putting just a lot more steps. So I am less likely to make hot chocolate. And I'm a grown person who knows that they like hot chocolate better than hot cocoa. As a kid, like the character in the story, more likely than not, if I'm making my own, I'm making hot cocoa. So there are two things that make the drink he has on the train different. One, it is thick and rich like hot chocolate, and also that it's still hot cocoa with the characteristics. Remember, use the word characteristics. So it has features or traits that are like hot chocolate. This can make him feel cozy, but also like mysterious. Like, how did this hot cocoa get so rich and creamy? Okay, I can't stand it. I'm gonna take a little sip, just a little one. And if I'm lucky, I'll get some whipped cream too. Okay, that's really good. It's really good. This one's probably good too. I'm gonna take a little sip. And I have to say, this one is pretty good too. Let's go back to the book. Go back to the book. So, while we analyze how does Chris Van Allsburg use the hot chocolatey beverage to create is a mysterious yet comforting mood in the Polar Express, we could talk about hot chocolate, and that there's a difference between hot chocolate and hot cocoa, that Chris Van Allsburg uses the term hot cocoa but gives it the characteristics of hot chocolate, and that's very specific. My point, get to the point, Diana. He combines the two and he makes a new drink, and we can talk about that in an analysis. Analysis, remember, is when we take a part of a whole, a piece of the story, and see how it works within the whole. And a lot of times the question that starts this might start with a how or a why. How does Chris Van Allsburg use hot cocoa to create a mysterious and curious mood in the Polar Express? Because if you think about it, a little boy getting on a train to go somewhere could turn into a very scary story. So one thing Chris Van Allsburg does is he creates this sense of safety as soon as the boy walks in. So we're going to focus on the hot cocoa. Remember, a part, and this specific part is a food part because I love food. The children are drinking and the little boy is served hot cocoa as rich and thick as candy bars. Now, how does knowing I'm going to drink some hot cocoa or being able to drink some hot cocoa make me feel? Okay, so you have some ideas. I'm going to just use one. It makes me feel warm inside. So that's one thing. So how does it make you feel? What does it make you think of? Another thing that comes with hot cocoa is when do I have hot cocoa? Warm, so it's a cozy feeling. It's a comforting feeling. It's like getting into a blanket. So these are all things that can come along, and all Chris Van Allsburg has to write is, we drank hot cocoa, and those things come along with it. He doesn't have to say, I was warm, I was cozy, I came in from the cold, it gave me good memories. Because as the reader, remember, shared, our thoughts, our feelings contribute to the story. As the reader, I'm bringing that with me. I'm bringing some stuff and I'm sharing in the experience of the story. Okay, the next part of the sentence is that hot cocoa is as thick and rich as candy bars. And what Chris Van Allsburg has done is he taking characteristics of hot chocolate and given them to hot cocoa. So we have yummy, warm, comforting, a drink that I have experiences with characteristics of something I don't have often. So we have comfort. In my hand, I have some comfort. And we have mystery, or out of the ordinary, or especially special. And he puts those two together. And so already, using food, Chris Van Allsburg has created this mood of mystery and comfort where the boy can feel safe and be ready to go on an adventure in the Polar Express. Okay, so thank you for doing hot cocoa, hot chocolate, and Polar Express with me and analysis. Happy. Bye. See y'all later.